Hey guys, Dan here with Kat. We're going to run through a Kinstretch class with you today. So as always with Kinstretch, we'll start with our daily cars. So Kat, I'll get you right in the middle there, please. So guys, just take a second to contract every muscle in your body, turning yourself into a statue. All right guys, starting with our neck cars. So Kat's going to bring chin to chest, rotate chin onto her shoulder, side bend or side flex that ear toward her shoulder, take a head back, looking to the ceiling, mirroring that rep on the other side, ear to shoulder, chin onto shoulder, chin forward onto chest. All right, guys, and then reversing that rep, we're going 2 in that same direction and 2 in the other direction. Okay, so 2 nice big circles in each direction. As always with our cars, if we have any closing angle joint pain, so if you go to this side and you feel a pinch here, just shorten that rep a little bit or cut the corner off that rep and just move through pain-free range only. Okay, guys, once we've done 2 there, crossing arms over your chest, working into our T-spine. So here, making sure our hips are tight, round and flex the spine forward, rotation first, side flexion second, extension third, mirroring the rep on the other side, side flex, rotate, forward flex, and we'll reverse. So remembering we're keeping the body completely still like a statue in this one. So Kat's making sure those legs and hips aren't going side to side, forward and back. Just trying to create that movement, flexion, extension through the spine, lateral flexion and rotation. All right, guys, so 2 in each direction there. Once you finish that second rep, let's glue our arms to our sides. So fingertips don't leave the legs. And we're going to work through our scapular cars. So drawing circles backwards with our shoulders to start. So we go forward, up, back and down. So protraction, elevation, retraction, depression. Let's change direction. Take those circles to the opposite direction. So again, keeping the rest of the body completely still, biggest possible circle we can make with the shoulder. From there, let's take our right arm onto our ribs, solidify our base, externally rotate with the left arm, sweep across and in front, overhead into flexion, internally rotate through that roadblock into extension, hand down by our side, back of the hand onto the leg, driving into extension, externally rotate through the top this time. Make sure we cut across the front of the body into abduction as you come down. 1 more rep on that same left side. So abduction across the body, flexion overhead, internally rotate to create extension behind the body, and then reverse that rep. Change the arms over, guys. Left arm across the body, right arm starting in external rotation. So taking as much external rotation as we can into flexion, that overhead range. Then internally rotating into extension. Holding on to as much internal rotation as you can in extension as well before we externally rotate through the top. So 1 more rep on the right side. So we've got 2 and 2. And when we finish those shoulders, we'll get into our elbows. So for our elbows, guys, glue the upper arms to your side. We're going to just focus on moving from the elbow and forearm down. So again, starting in an external rotation position and creating as much tension as you can. Remember, keep the body a statue. So really tighten up through the elbows and then let's flex. Trying to bring the pinky fingers onto the outside of the shoulder. Internally rotate through the top, then extend. Notice the upper arm not moving here. Externally rotating the bottom, flex. Internally rotate to extend. At the bottom, we'll hold our internal rotation and we'll flex. Then we'll go into external rotation as we extend. Again, internal rotation, flex, external rotation to extend. And then just bring those lower arms up into forearms, up into 90-degree angles, so parallel to the floor. So now we're going to lock these forearms in place. They're not going to move. And we're going to go arms down, in, up, and out. So let's just go for a few circles in each direction here, guys. Keep those palms nice and flat like ninja hands. Drawing the biggest possible circle you can with the tips of your fingers. Let's change direction. And making sure those forearms stay completely still. So we just want the hands and wrists moving through space here. All right, thanks, Kat. Let's break there and we'll go into our hips next. I'm going to give Kat a stick to use to balance. So guys, anything you can use to balance, door frame, chair, whatever that is. Just grab that in one hand. Let's grab that in the right hand. So let's work out, right leg first. Right hand, right leg. All right, guys, so you see Kat's just taking her heel across the body there. So starting to create some external rotation that's working here. From there, guys, let's draw that right knee up into your chest, holding onto as much external rotation as you can, and then just unwinding as we take that knee further into flexion, out into abduction, internally rotate, and then come in and find hip extension. So again, extension this way, and we abduct away from the body, externally rotate, try to bring that knee nice and high up into your chest, externally rotate, set down. Let's do one more on that right side. External rotation with flexion into abduction, through full range of motion, trying to keep your lower back nice and flat here, upper body still, so really drive the stick or whatever you're holding into the floor, create tension through the standing leg and the stick, isolate that movement into that right leg. All right, guys, changing side, let's do two circles, two hip circles, two hip cars on our left side as well. So again, we're trying to create that biggest possible circle we can with that left knee, going through flexion as we go up into the chest, abduction as we move away from the midline of the body, and then extension as we try and drive our knee back on the standing leg without going into the lower back. So make sure we're differentiating between hip extension and lumbar extension there. So 2 reps there, guys, for our hips, and then we'll take a seat on the floor with our feet out in front and work into our knees. So for the knees, guys, sitting on the floor, Kat's got right arm under right leg, and she's locked that leg in place with the left arm. We're going to start with the knee flex and our toe dorsiflex, so ankle dorsiflex. So bring that toe toward your knee, and then just with some rotation. So external rotation, internal rotation from side to side. So on this one, we're going to hold the external rotation, squeeze that as tight as we can, and then extend, straighten our leg, and then try internally rotation as we curl or flex that knee. External rotation, extend, internal rotation as you flex. Hold the internal this time as you extend. Externally rotate as you flex. One more, internal and external. All right, switching sides, left side, guys. Left arm goes under, right arm on top. Starting with rotation, so external rotation, internal rotation. And then let's hold the external this time, extend in the top, internally rotate as we flex through the bottom. Good. Extend, flex, hold the internal rotation this time for the extension. External rotation to flex, big squeeze. When we finish here, we'll stay on the left leg to work our ankle. All right, guys, so we want our lower leg now, or our calf, to stay locked in place. So this doesn't move or rotate anymore. From here, guys, 3 big circles with the big toe. So pointing your toe through the bottom, flexing through the top, drawing the biggest possible circle you can. Let's do 3 in each direction. And then we'll come back and work onto that right side. So as we're working these ankle circles or ankle calves, guys, think about that tissue around just below the knee here into the top of the calf on both sides, and you start to feel that really working. You squeeze these circles. So we've got 3 onto our left, 3 onto our right in each direction. And then to finish our calves, we'll come into our quadruped position. So onto our hands and knees. And we'll work into the spine. So we're just going to go flexion and extension to start. So flexion, Kat's got her chin tucked on her chest. She's flexed all through her spine and hips are in posterior tilt. Let's go into extension. We've got the opposite now. We've got cervical spine, thoracic spine, lumbar spine extended, and we're in anterior tilt in the hips. Let's just go ahead and move slowly between those 2 positions. So creating extension in the bottom, flexion in the top. As we flex, guys, belly button pull in, chest in. Actually press your chin onto your chest. And then in extension, think about pulling that belly button, draw it down to the floor, pull your sternum down to the floor, and lift the chin all the way to the ceiling. All right, as we get to the top here, let's pause in flexion, and then move into segmental movement with the spine. So we're going to try and create a wave from the bottom to top. So Kat's going to go anterior tilt first with the hip, and then lumbar extension, thoracic extension, finally cervical spine extension. Then she's going to hold on to as much of that extension as she can as she goes into posterior tilt with the hips, lumbar flexion, thoracic flexion, and then finally cervical spine flexion. Now guys, a couple more nice slow control reps here. Let's think about moving or articulating our spine one vertebrae at a time. And we're just creating a nice slow wave from the bottom or from the hips each time. So creating that flexion wave and then that extension wave, changing those two positions. All right, okay, once you get into flexion, let's finish our cars there. All right, guys. So first exercise this morning, shouldn't have said this morning, it could be any time of day that you're watching this. First exercise we're going to do in this class is from a 90-90 position. So which leg you want to start with in the front? Right. All right, guys, let's follow cat and start with our right leg in front. So we're all doing the same thing. So guys, 90-90 position. If I'm standing here looking down from the top, I can see 90 degrees here on that front leg, 90 degrees here on our rear leg. So front, that's going to be our lead leg, rear leg is our trail leg. We're going to work on our trail leg first here, guys. So what we want to do is find what we call a passive range hold, and we're working in internal rotation. So internal rotation on this side is making this leg do this. All right, so I'm going to get Kat to reach back with the left hand, and with her arm, relax this leg as much as possible. With her arm, pull as far into internal rotation as she can go. All right, from there, we're going to do what we call passive range hold. So Kat's going to squeeze and flex all this tissue in her hip, and then she's going to let go with the hand, and hopefully the leg stays there. And we're going to do a 5-second hold, and then allow that leg to parachute down. So by that we mean control. Yeah, good. Hip cramps on demo rep. So we're off to a good start. That's what we want, guys. You want to find that tissue that creates the internal rotation and contract it. All right, so if you're doing cramps, or getting cramps, you're doing well. All right, guys, so it's going to be passive lift and hold. We're going to hold for 5 seconds, parachute down and reset. We've got 5 reps on this side. All right, so let's start by finding your passive range, your internal rotation on that trail leg. All right, contract here and hold. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, parachute down. All right, guys, reset that leg. Relax everything when you reset. We want passive range. Let's go 2, hold. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Relax and set down. So watch torso here, guys. Once we've got that passive range set, Kat's not moving anything here to compensate. 3, just let go, drop the heel. 3, 2, 1, parachute down. 2 more on this side. So each time resetting, finding as much range as you can. Let's go for 4, hold. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, set down. Last on this side, big squeeze, hold. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, relax. All right, guys, we're going to stay on this side and work our trail leg, and then we'll switch. So I want you to turn just about 45 degrees there. Cool. So guys, we're going to work our lead leg. For this one, guys, working our lead leg, we're going to do what we call a kinetic stretch. So that's going to involve, basically, Kat's going to get nice and tall, so really lift the chest up, and then she's going to forward fold down onto that lead leg. All right, coming back to the top, Kat. At the same time as we come down, we're pulling our torso onto this leg. I want Kat to try and lift that leg off the floor. All right, so we're contracting both sides, the leg and the torso as we go down. When we get to the bottom, we're going to squeeze as hard as we can for 2 seconds. Then relax, fingers go on the floor, and we cheat our way back up. So I'll get Kat just to demo 1 rep, and then we'll go through 5 altogether. So in the top here, contract up tall, try and lift the leg. Take about 5 seconds to come down, contract as hard as you can in the bottom, and then relax, reset in the top. All right, guys, so Kat had both arms out to the side there. If you need to, you can use this right arm as a kickstand, if that makes it a little easier, and you can't quite sit in 90-90. All right, guys, let's do 5 reps here. So up in the top, contract, slowly down. So we're trying to lift our front leg, squeezing that tissue in internal rotation, compress yourself in the bottom, and then fingertips back up. All right, let's go for 2, So I've heard this called in the bottom position, like a sandwich press. So you want to squeeze that cheese between the bread, really compress everything as much as you can. So slowly here, guys, just following on, work through 5 reps at your own pace. So this might go a little quicker into the bottom. But make sure resetting every time, up nice and tall. Kat's trying to take her chest or her sternum out past that front knee, rather than allowing that spine to round and flex. And make sure in that bottom position you are compressing. Squeeze, draw your leg up into your chest at the same time as you're pulling your chest onto that lead leg. All right, swivel hips. Let's switch over onto the opposite side. So we're going to change position. Left leg now in front, 90-90. And we're coming into internal rotation, passive range holds on the right leg this time. All right, guys, so let's reset ourselves. Take our leg into internal rotation. All right, remember nothing moves once we find that position. That's our start position. The only thing we do is we drop the heel, hold it as high as you can, 5 seconds, and then parachute it down to the floor. So chest and torso do not move. All right, Kat, number 1, hold. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Slowly down. This one didn't cramp quite as easily as the other side. That's it. All right, let's go for 2. Squeeze and hold. So we're trying to hold as high as we can here. 3, 2, 1, and down. Let's go for 4 and hold. Sorry, that's 3, isn't it? 3, 2, 1, down. So guys, you will have a drop between passive range and where we can actively hold. That's fine. 2 more on this side. Squeeze and hold. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, last one. So the idea is we're finding this tissue on the hip, on the outside of the hip there. Let's go for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And we're trying to connect our brain to that tissue and see what's working, what we need to do to create that internal rotation. Okay, guys, staying in 90-90 with that left leg in front. We're going to go into our kinetic stretch on this side. Okay, so remember, we're sandwich pressing ourselves in the bottom, getting nice and tall through the top. So make sure we reset that position each time. All right, guys, tall position, forward at your own pace, compress, squeeze, and then cheat yourself back up. So we're going to go through 5 reps here. Try to keep this spine nice and long. Remember, sternum or chest wants to go beyond your front leg and onto the floor in front of your knees. So we're really trying to like anteriorly tilt the pelvis here. Get nice and long. Come forward onto the floor. Left arm can be out onto the side, working as a kickstand for balance if you need to be a bit more comfortable in 90-90. And don't forget to work really hard with that internal rotation, so the external rotation on that lead leg. So squeeze that tissue on the inside of the thigh, trying to draw that knee into your chest. This last one? Yeah, that's 5. All right, guys. We're going to go to set number 2. Yeah, so let's come back into our 90-90 right leg in front. All right, so we're going to go through the same thing. So let's set up passive range hold. So try and create, maybe you've got more internal rotation this time. You can really squeeze into that internal rotation. Turn the upper body, front leg into a statue, nothing moves. 3, 2, 1, hold at the top, squeeze. 4, 3, 2, 1. And with control, we're coming down onto the floor. Make sure we don't drop that leg. Control that range all the way back. Let's go for 2, hold. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Slowly down. Setting up for 3, hold. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Slowly down. 2 more this side. Each time resetting passive range to your max effort. Let's go for 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Last one this side. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and down. All right, guys. Bringing our focus back onto the front leg. So remember, we want to keep this leg trying to draw into our chest. Let's come down slowly with the torso. Compress in the bottom as much as you can. Fingertips to the floor, relax to come back up. All right, so really tall through the top section of the body. Remember, trying to get the chest out in front of the hips, so it's a nice big stretch through that tissue on the outside line of our trail leg, sorry, our lead leg. And just work at your own pace, nice and slowly through 5 seconds. So you want to really contract, take some time to contract under tension as you pull down toward the floor and squeeze all the cheese out at the bottom. So 2 second max effort hold, contracting while we cheat our way back into the top. All right, guys, we've done 5. Let's transition back. This is our last one in 90-90. So let's again start with this trail leg, finding that passive range. So passive range just means when everything's relaxed in the body, how much range do we have? Where do we find that end range of that limit? All right, guys, holding there. Let's hold on to as much as we can for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Parachute back down. Let's go for 2, squeeze and hold. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go 3, squeeze and hold. So really contracting all this tissue here should be rock hard. Feeling that on that front side, top side of the hip. And down. 2 more this side. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, guys. Last one in internal rotation. Big squeeze into the top. Hold. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and down. All right, guys. Take a second to reset. So thinking about front leg now, onto our lead leg, up nice and tall. Let's come down, kinetic stretch. So pulling, actively pulling that chest toward your lead leg. At the same time, try to lift your lead leg, the knee of your lead leg and your heel up into your chest. So we've got 5 nice, slow, controlled reps there. As much compression as we can, finding that tissue on the inside of that lead leg to pull and lift this up. Don't forget to keep the rotation. So as much as your heel is trying to lift the floor off the floor, so is your ankle. So that whole lower leg is coming up as one section. Now, 4, 1 to go. Last one here, guys. Right. All right, guys. Shake your hips out as you need to. Maybe shake the legs from side to side. And just grab a quick drink, and we'll set ourselves up again in a kneeling position. Switch that. So we're in child's pose.
Yeah.
Collapse quadruped. So just have one leg out to the side doing it. From wherever you can go. All right, guys, so next exercise, we're going to come into what we call a collapsed quadruped position. So, collapsed quadruped, we're going to go, actually, let's spin you around that like a cat. Sort of 45 degrees, yeah. Collapsed quadruped position, guys, is just bringing our hips back onto our heels. So we'll find varying degrees of when we end up in this position. So some of us may get our hips all the way into our heels. Some of us may need to come forward. That's going to depend on where you are to get this heel off the floor. So we're going to work abduction here. All right, so abduction is taking away from the midline of the body. So Kat's got this right leg out straight. And what she's going to try and do here, you can see the arms are working as kickstands, bracing herself against the floor. She's going to try and, without moving the hip, just lift that heel off. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and set down. All right, guys, so we've got 5 5-second efforts there. So just take a second to get set up. Make sure where you're set up, we can get that heel off the floor without too much hip movement. So Kat, if you jump back a little bit, if you went all the way back here to try to lift the heel, 1, maybe it doesn't go off the floor at all, or 2, you have to compensate by rotating here. All right, excuse me. So let's just bring those hips forward as much as we need to. So as we're working here, guys, hopefully this left leg doesn't move, torso doesn't move, arms don't move, just the right leg lifting off the floor. All right, guys, setting up there, we've got 5 5-second holds. Let's go for 1, lift and hold. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, set down. 2, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, set down. 3, hold. And set down. So remember, parachute down nice and slowly. 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, set down. Last one. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, set down. Nice, guys. All right, changing sides. So let's take that other leg straight out to the side. So I don't know if I mentioned that first set. So looking down from the top, we want to see about 90 degrees here. Okay, so as best you can find that 90 degrees between the torso and the working leg. So blocking with the arms onto the floor, we're going to sit our heels back as far as we can, making sure we're not moving too much to the rest of the body. All right, guys, second side, lift and hold. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, parachute down. Up the 2, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, parachute down. Make sure you lock that knee, point your toe, not point the toe. Lift and hold. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 2 more on this left side. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Last one. Lift and hold. Squeeze. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right, guys. Back onto our right leg. So changing this slightly, we're going to do the lift and hold, but this time we're going to hold for 30 seconds in the top, and we're going to go for rotation. So, Kat, you can come back down to that position. So by rotation, as this leg lifts up, I'm going to try and externally rotate and internally rotate. Externally rotate and internally rotate, okay? So we're going to hold that leg as much as we can, contract that tissue, stay in the top for 30 seconds while you work that rotation. So try and squeeze a little bit more out each time. All right, guys, so blocking on the floor, maybe you want to come a little bit further forward with the hips this time. It's 30 seconds, not 5. It's a big difference in the top. All right, let's lift and hold, and now start to rotate. So as we rotate, guys, think about torso staying still, pelvis staying still, left leg is still, and just that right leg. So we're trying to keep that ankle as high as we can, so up to the ceiling, and trying to find as much rotation as you can through that hip joint. So the angle of the leg isn't changing, it's staying exactly straight out to the side where she started. Just trying to find as much rotation there. Last 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Legs should feel very heavy on this one. Can confirm. All right. Let's sit back on those heels, switching sides. So we get our left leg out to the side this time. All right, guys. So brace with the rest of the body. Let's lift left leg up, hold, and 30 seconds here, working rotation. So internal rotation, external rotation. External rotation is you take your knee toward the ceiling. Internal rotation is you rotate your knee toward the floor. So really squeeze through as much range of motion as you can here, guys. Keep that leg up nice and high, so keep driving your ankle to the ceiling. 20 seconds, last 10 here. Last 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and down. All right, guys. A little break for the hips. Let's get into some shoulders.
Oh, no, okay.
No, that was just one set through there. All right, guys, so for our shoulders, we're going to use, or Kat's going to use a ankle weight here on her wrist, so it's about 1 kilo. So nothing too heavy, about 1 kilo, maybe 2. And we're going to work a shoulder cast, so like we did in our warm-up. So shoulder cast, swimming in front of the body, up into flexion, into rotation, extension. We're going to do that from a kneeling position, so what we call a level 2 cast. We're going to use some active blocking here. All right, so Kat, if you're going to work right arm first, so we'll take left leg out in front, and then using that stick just to solidify her base. All right, guys, so we're into a tall kneeling position, or a tall kneeling lunge position here. Kat's got the stick in the left hand. She's going to be driving that into the floor at all times. And we're going to try and keep as tight as possible here. All right, guys, so we're going to work for 60 seconds. So it's going to be the same as we did We start with external rotation and try and sweep across and in front of the body, up into flexion. Make sure you find all the flexion you can. Find that roadblock and then internally rotate. Keep that arm up as high as you can. Internal rotation into extension. Then we lower back down by our side, reverse, extension, external rotation, all up into flexion, and then abduction to come down. All right, guys, let's start by creating tension. So squeeze, make a fist with that right arm that's working. We'll start the clock there now, 60 seconds. So I want you to use this left arm, the stick or whatever you're holding on to. Use your lower body as a brace. So turn everything to a statue. So we're completely solid with the exception of this right arm, just drawing the biggest circle it can. So working that glenohumeral joint. So maxing out in flexion. Make sure we keep unwinding. So unwind, unwind into internal rotation and extension. Drive as high up into extension as you can before you begin to externally rotate through the top. And then really squeeze. You should feel the inside part of your chest there as you squeeze that arm across the body. Making sure that when we squeeze across the body that we don't rotate through the torso either. So torso stays still, just abduction through that shoulder. Good. We've got last 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So let's switch sides, put the weight on the other arm. So working left side now, we're going to take our right leg out in front. Using that stick as a brace. So let's get lots of tension through the core. Using our legs, using that stick, turn your body into a statue. And let's start there for 60 seconds. So sweeping across and in front of the body. Internally rotate, extension, and then holding all the internal rotation for as long as you can. Really drive that arm into extension before you even begin to unwind a millimeter of your rotation. So you notice you guys, we've got that torso cat staying nice and still with the torso, legs and arms not moving, just trying to isolate this movement through the shoulder of that left arm, left shoulder. Good, so big squeeze through the front of the chest as we come down into abduction. Each time, guys, think about it, you're just like carving out a space. So you're just trying to carve out like 1 more millimeter slice, make that circle slightly bigger. That rotation slightly bigger. All right, last 10 seconds on this side. 3, 2, and 1. All right, drop the weight or take that weight off your ankle. So we warmed up our hips a little bit in the first 2 sets, so hopefully we can get down nice and low into a squat. Because if you find a squat is challenging, you might want to pop something under the ankles or under the heels. Give me this next one. All right, guys, so for this next exercise, we're going to work in what we call a squat base position. We're going to do swimmers. So actually, before I get Kat into that squat base, I might just turn you around and just come down to a kneeling position. So our swimmers, guys, we've got what we call A position, so both arms together. A position with our shoulders where they're coming down, and we want internal rotation here and extension. All right, from there, we're also going to flex the elbow, try and reach those knuckles as far up the spine as we can, then extend. And then we go external rotation, overhead, wide position now, and again, flex of the elbow, reach the tennis balls down into the neck. All right, so that's the swimmer component. All right, stand out for me, pre-chat. So then we're going to add that into a squat base. Okay, that's going to come down into a nice low squat, so we can go feet wide. If you can, keep the heels on the floor. If you need to pop the weight or something under the heels to lift up, that's fine. We're getting down into your lowest possible squat position. And then we're here for 60 seconds working those swimmers. All right, guys, let's get ourselves set up. Starting the clock now, 60 seconds. Make sure that low position with the arms is A position. So we're internally rotated. We're trying to drive our fingertips. Okay? We're trying to touch this back wall. And then as she flexes the elbow, she's trying to reach the knuckles as far up the spine as she can. When we go overhead into that wide position, we're doing the opposite. We're looking for external rotation as much as we can, and we're driving thumbs back towards that back wall, trying to flex those elbows and bring those tennis balls as far down the spine as you can. Let's compress and stay as low as we can in the squat at the same time. So don't let the hips come up. Just try to manage that balance, that change of position as we move our arms between overhead shoulder Y, down here, shoulder A. We're going for another 10 seconds here. So always try to bring those fingertips as far back behind her as possible, staying nice and low in that squat. We'll finish in the overhead position. And break there. All right, guys, roll those shoulders off a little bit. So we're going to go through that one more time as well. So back into our shoulder carve. So you have a weight onto your right arm. Setting up in our kneeling lunge position. All right, guys, solidifying our base. Use your legs, your abs, drive the stick into the floor, get extra solid. Let's go for 60 seconds, right side. So external rotation into abduction, into flexion. Internal rotation into extension. Down by our side, reset, starting again. Extension with internal rotation. And flexion through the top, abducting to come down. All right, guys, if you're nice and tight here, I was going to try and steal this stick from Kat. I shouldn't be able to lift that off the floor or take that away from her. She'd be driving that into the floor, turning that body into a statue, and really isolating the movement just through that shoulder. All right, guys, we've got 20 seconds left on this side. So you can see these reps the Kat's doing are nice and slow and controlled. So we're not rushing through the reps. I'm trying to count how many reps you can do, more focused on the full range of motion. So finding flexion overhead, really gluing the arm to your ear, working on rotation. So as much external rotation as you can get through the bottom, and as internal rotation you can get through the bottom, breaking there. All right, switch sides. So let's start working the left side. So we're going to take our right leg in front for our kneeling lunge position. Broomstick in the right hand. So remember, guys, think about if I was at home in the living room with you and I was trying to steal this stick, you wouldn't let me take it. Really solidify that into the floor. All right, guys, 60 seconds. Let's start now. Big sweep through abduction into flexion overhead. Internally rotate into extension. Reverse as we extend through external rotation to find flexion and lower down in front. Again, trying to sweep or carve our way through a little bit more range. So we've got this curve here that Kat's creating. She's trying to just shave 1 more millimeter off each time. Good, guys, over halfway. So we've only done 2 reps there for halfway. So maybe only be 4 or 5 reps in a set. But try to draw the biggest possible circle you can. Don't worry about how many reps you're actually getting through here. All right, so about 10 seconds left. Let's complete 1 full rep each to finish this off. And then we'll pop that weight on the floor and we'll come back into our squat pace position. Right. We'll work those swimmers again in the squat base. We're just going to vary it slightly by going unilaterally with the swimmers. So that means we're going to have 1 arm overhead and 1 arm down here. So 1 in Y and 1 in A, and transition then from side to side. So unilateral swimmers now, not quite as balanced. Let's get ourselves set up in our squat base. So heels on the floor, dropping those hips down. And we've got 60 seconds here, guys. All right, guys, so every time your knuckles come in contact with your spine, we're squeezing and crushing a tennis ball, try to actively lift them off the spine first before you extend. So just trying to create a little bit more overhead flexion or extension, depending on which arm. And then working nice big rotation. So always trying to get those elbows and fingertips back here. Can't be chasing to find where my hands are. And try to reach as far down the spine with that top arm, as far up the spine with the bottom arm as you can between those 2 positions. See if you can get those reps to really synchronize well. See how Kat hits horizontal with both arms at the same time, finds A and Y at the same time. So you can time that nice and smoothly. Last 10 seconds here, guys. And the shoulders get a small break. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right, relax there. Grab a quick drink if you need to. We've got one more set to get through. Huh?
I should be having a drink.
My voice, I can feel like constant talking for an hour and a half. Cossack with swimmers. So it'll be Y overhead and A at the bottom. All right, guys, our last exercise today, we're going to combine some hip stuff and some shoulder stuff. So, Kat, I'll get you just to demonstrate a Cossack squat for us first. So, guys, Cossack squat, feet nice and wide. We bend one leg, we keep one leg straight. So, in the bottom, this knee is pulling over the top of the toes and out to the side. And we can see we've got external rotation here. So, remember, earlier in the set, we were working internal, or earlier in the past, internal, external rotation, external here. Come up and onto the other side, Kat. So Cossack squats up and down from side to side. We're going to pair that with more swimmers. Okay, so in the top position, Kat will go both arms overhead. She's going to go Y position, external rotation. As she comes down, let's go to this right side. As she comes down, those arms are going to come down. We're just going to go into extension, so we won't bend the elbows in this one. So we've got A position here, back to the top, finding Y and external rotation, and then down, internal rotation, so internal rotation and extension. All right, guys, so to finish off, 90 seconds here. So it's going to be all the way down nice and deep in your Cossack squat, externally rotating the straight leg. Shoulders are going to come into A position. As you come back to standing, Y position with external rotation, and reverse that onto the other side. All right, guys, 60 seconds here. Let's start in the top in Y position. And let's start the clock there. Sorry, 90 seconds. Start the clock there. So as you come down deep into your Cossack squat, try and keep your heel on the floor. Internally rotate as much as possible. So drive back. Can be trying to touch the back wall with the knuckles there, squeezing and crushing the tennis balls to keep tension through the body. Good, guys. So internal rotation as you come into the bottom, external rotation as you go into the top. Make sure we're always trying to pull those arms back behind the body. So in Y, we're pulling back, opening the shoulders. And in A, we're also pulling back, opening those shoulders into extension. Nice, you can see that knee rotating as Kat comes down. So watch this, knees pointing forwards. As she comes down, she's rotating that knee up to the ceiling. Good, and timing our reps, guys, like we did in the last set. So timing our reps, so you make sure you find A in the bottom of your Cossack, and you find Y in the top of your Cossack. We're 60 seconds in, 30 seconds to go, and we get a break. Good, guys. So hopefully this is a little bit more challenging to combine the swimmers with another exercise in our Cossack. So we're working through what we call an isometric movement path. So changing our balance position as we go through the shoulders and hips. Let's do one more on the left side, Kat, to finish up. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1.
That was my full brain.
Yeah, brain training as well. All right, guys, that was Kinstretch for today. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.